Okay, you chuds want to learn how to make a character? I'll show you how to make a character, and it's gonna be super awesome and cool. And I'm the fucking out. Okay, I don't even. All right. I didn't. We're just gonna start. Okay, so first things first, let's make the actual sheet. So I'm gonna personally be using Mythweavers, of course, as I said, like I believe like yesterday or some shit. You can use your own website as long as it supports D&D 5e 2024 character sheets. I personally love using Mythweavers because I don't have to deal with any of the fucking bullshit that is auto builders on things like D&D Beyond or Roll20 because in order to access all the things that you actually want, you gotta pay for it. And if you don't, it's just kind of fucking hard to use. So first, we're actually gonna have to make our sheet, right? Sheet, after clicking on create, then we give it a name. I'm gonna be doing Charlie, Shuddy, fuck that is not well, hold on. Shudbert, alright, and of course, after you select your name, you can edit that later by the way on Mythweavers. You just click Dungeons and Dragons 5e and create sheet. So I'm gonna be covering a class that has both spells and martial capabilities, which is the Paladin. So all you spellcasters and all you martial characters can get a point of reference, I guess. So I personally like using the Wikidot instead of the player handbook because it's just more organized and easier for you to read everything. So for example, if I go over here, just wait for it to load. Internet's fucking really garbage right now. Here we go. I get to just scroll through the background, species, classes, equipments, and most importantly, the spells. I mainly use the Wikidot to remember the spells, because they're all organized in both their schools of magic, and if you click on a class, and that can cast spells. I'll show you later. You can directly access their spell list with hyperlinks to explain every single spell too. See, look at all this information. Look at all this beautiful information right here. See, and if you click Acid Splash, um, for example, you'll be able to actually read up on all the information, including like the cantrip upgrades or the upclassing, scaling, and all the other meta knowledge that you would need otherwise. So let's actually pick our class. So class, we scroll down a little bit, and now let's click Paladin. Paladins are a hybrid class, which means, like Ranger, for example, they're able to cast both spells to a certain degree and have a pretty fair martial capability. Also, they're kind of just aura farming, alright? Who wouldn't want to be like a crusader or whatever the fuck? So, right here is just like some of the basic weapons, or not weapons, like information that you need as a paladin. For example, you can see here that their the primary abilities that you should be focusing on as a paladin, well, at least normally, should be your strength and charisma. Strength because you're a frontline melee fighter, and charisma because as a spellcaster, that is your spellcasting ability. Remember how I covered that yesterday? Yeah, make sure that you actually have the capabilities to cast good spells as a spellcaster. You don't want that to be your dump stat, ever. So, let's actually start building the character. Let's start with the bullshit up here first. So, obviously, the name would be Charlie Chuddy Chudbert. The player would be me. The campaign, just for whatever the fuck the campaign would, and the campaign name, like, would be if it was, like, up there. Um, Now let's go to class. Obviously, you're gonna be a paladin. And before I continue, I am just gonna say I am gonna be leveling up this paladin to level 3 to sort of give you guys even more information regarding how leveling up works. For the race, I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm just gonna do human, deity, I'm my own deity, and alignment. Like you can do whatever you want from like the standard alignment chart, lawful, evil, true, neutral, neutral good, whatever the fuck. I'm not gonna bother myself with that right now. And because Shuddy is a caster, we're gonna make sure we give ourselves the spell list over here. And for level, I'm just gonna automatically put 3 there for now. And background. This is where we can actually start like referencing the wiki dots to find what we want to do. So we're just gonna wait for this to load real quick, and then we're gonna go back to home. And as you can see here, we have our backgrounds. Now, backgrounds I explained earlier, they do these things. They give you an ability score increase, they give you a feat, they give you skill proficiencies, tool proficiencies, and even starting equipments. So, oh, I accidentally pressed back. So, as a paladin, I want this guy to be, already soldiery and stuff like that because he has to be strong. So, we're going to go with the soldier background. And as you can see here, these are my abilities I can increase via the ability scores, and like I have the feat Savage Attacker and all these other beautiful skill proficiencies. So we're going to make sure we keep that in mind. But first things first, we're just going to copy paste soldier there. Now, I'm also going to fill in a plus to the proficiency bonus since characters that are level 1 to 3 have a proficiency bonus of +2. It's not until level 5 that we increase our proficiency bonus to +3. Next up is we are going to start determining our like skill proficiencies that we get from the paladin class and our equipment. But first things first, let's determine our stats and roll our HP and make sure we copy down all this information. So as you can see right here, our saving your proficiencies as a paladin is wisdom and charisma, which means we are just, better at these two rolls because we can add our proficiency bonus to them. Now, I personally love using point buy, so I just D&D 5e D&D. I'm actually fucking a genius. D&D 5e point buy. So I'm just gonna open up the like source thing. I show you guys a link, and I guess we're just gonna build our character from here. So obviously, I want this guy to be strong, and I want this guy to be fairly hardy. And keep in mind that because I am a soldier, I can add either a +1 to the ability score of all three of these stats, or add a, for example, a +2 to the ability score of strength, or a +1 to dexterity. Now, I'm not gonna be like, unlike yesterday, I let you guys boost your characters and like give you even more potential for dump stats, but I'm not gonna be doing that today. I'm just gonna keep things fairly normal, and I'm just gonna do a little bit of that, which is pretty fair. I want to make sure that I'm not having too many dump stats, and I am maintaining uh the total points down here. And as we can see here, these are my total scores, which, isn't too bad. I do have some negatives, but I can fix the dexterity with the um ability score increase here. And I can also increase my constitution to a 14 and my strength to a 16, which leaves my charisma at a solid 15. So let's just fill that in. So the score would be a 16 here, be a 10 here, it would be a 14, a 9, a 10, and then a 15. I'm not copying it down word for word from the point buy calculator. As you can see, my dexterity here is a 9, while I'm making it a 10 here because I am adding the ability scores from my soldier backgrounds that I have chosen. Okay, now that everything's saved, we next have to roll our HP. So, when you're building a character at first, your starting HP will always be the max amount it can be, which for a paladin is a D10. So for every paladin level, we have a D10 amount of hit dice. So let me backtrack. To first, like, actually build a level 1 character, we take the maximum, like, dice roll we can get as per our hit dice, which is 10, and add our constitution modifier to that, which is a 2. So our maximum starting HP for level 1 would be 12. Next up, we choose our skill proficiencies. I'm already proficient in athletics and intimidation as a soldier, so I guess I will choose religion and medicine as per the choose two options as a paladin. So let me just make sure I check mark those down so that I am um excuse me, so that I can keep track of my proficiencies and make sure I remember them. As I said earlier, I chose persuasion and religion. Oh, where is religion? Actually, yeah, no, I did a fucking stupid thing. Notice how my intelligence is a -1? So yeah, and religion is a skill in religion. Let's not do that. Let's instead do what other things here? Let's instead do insights instead. Next we just sort of fill out the rest of our things here in this list, which would be right now weapon proficiencies, armor training, and then our equipment. So let's just do that real quick. I'm just being lazy and just having it overlap like that. You of course can just like note down everything individually so it doesn't get like hidden like that. But now we have our starting equipment. So most classes will have a like choose A, B, or C path. As we can see, Paladin only has A or B, which is all of this like this is basically the starter's kit right here of chainmail, a shield, a longsword, six javelins, their holy symbol, priest pack, and 9 GP, or 150 gold pieces, which would be what all that equals to. I personally like going this route of just getting gold, because that allows me to better build a character of how I see them because I can just buy things um in accordance to like the player handbook equipment section. For example, if I don't want like the longsword, or if I don't like half of these items, I could just choose the GP and just choose like if I really wanted to, just three great swords and be fucking naked, for example. If I wanted to make like my chuddy character like that, which considering his fucking name, wouldn't be surprising if I just had three great swords. Um, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm just gonna choose these this starting pool of items. So let's actually fill this in. So I have chainmail, a shield, a long sword. Obviously, you don't have to use the equipment section here because it can get a little hard to manage if you have multiple items, which is why I personally like using a Google Doc to keep track of all of my items, but I'm just doing this for the tutorial sake, I guess. A priest pack and 9 full pieces. If you're using this website, make sure to always save whenever you have yellow text to, not lose anything. Now, this right here, that's just information that more like realistic DMs like to use, like the having to manage the weights, the location of these items, and the worth. I don't normally do that. That's just like a little nitpicky and just a little too clerical when it comes to playing D&D. You don't want to have to be like managing your weight, all right? We're not playing like a gritty survival game. So you just have to sort of like note down the names. The only time you really need to like note down the worth of an item is like if it's an actual valuable that I'm encouraging you to sell. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Your hit dice. Make sure you fill that in too. Now, as a for now, a level 1 paladin, my hit dice is 1d10. I hope you guys remember what hit dice were from yesterday. Now, let's also fill out our initiative, which is a fat goose egg because my dexterity modifier is 0. And also, why not? My passive perception, which is also a it's just it's a unfortunately just a 10 because passive perception by default is 10 for us. Additionally, let's fill out our speed, which again by default is 30 feet. Now, um, let's actually start to get into some of the things I get as a paladin. Now, on the Wikidot, you'll have a summary and you can find this in the player handbook too. You can find a summary of all the things you get per level up. And on the Wikidot, if you're just curious where it is, you can just click on it and it'll bring you right to it. Or you could just scroll to it manually like how I normally do. Oh yeah, where to find your proficiency bonus? Right here. So it's all in accordance to your level. So like level 1 through 4, it's +2. Level 5 through 9 or through 8, it's +3. And then level 9 through 12, it's +4, and so on. So let's actually start to fill in the class features. But before I do that, I almost forgot something. I gotta add the Savage Attacker feat to my features and traits because I start with that feat as a soldier. Additionally, don't forget to like note down any of the starting equipment you get for your background. I'm not gonna do that because I'm fucking lazy. And don't forget to note down your tool proficiencies that you also get from your background. So, um, oh yeah, let me mark down the attacks too. So, weapon, long sword, and javelin. So, if you're ever curious about where the information for the weapons are, you can also find it on the Wikidot, or you can find it on this page. I fucking deleted it on page 215 and 216 of the player handbook. So, let's see. Longsword is 1d8 slashing, or 1d10 if you use it with both hands, but my character has a shield, so they'll only be doing 1d8 damage. And because once again my modifier is a +3, I add that 2 to my damage roll, and because I'm proficient in a longsword because it is a martial weapon, I add a +5 to the attack. Additionally, the longsword's damage type is slashing, so I will make sure I put that too. You don't really need to, because sometimes you just might not be able to fit it, but it's whatever makes you comfortable. Uh, the damage that mundane weapons do isn't super duper important. However, the range of said mundane weapons are, so for example, the javelin does 1d6 piercing, but it has a throw range of 30 normal and 112 long. So let's make sure I add that too. Now you may be curious as to why this attack bonus is a +5 instead of a +2, because dexterity is 0 and javelins are a ranged weapon, but that's because it is a throwing weapon. Throwing weapons can use either your strength or your dexterity if they are meant to be thrown. For example, if you're throwing like a club that doesn't have the thrown property, you have to use your strength instead of your dexterity. Now let's move on. Make sure we save. Let's start filling in our class features. Now, this stuff, this is just copy paste. Just copy paste the name, and then you add it to your features and traits table. Um, Now, a lot of this, like for example, memorizing that just comes with time and experience. You just got to be patient with yourself. But a small thing to sort of jog your memory, I guess, is to just make sure you keep track of the resources that this class has, or that class feature has. So for example, lay on hands. As a bonus action, you can touch a creature, which could be yourself, and draw power from the pool of healing to restore a number of hit points to the creature up to a maximum amount of the remaining pool. So for lay on hands, that pool equals hit points. That pool equals to 5 times my paladin level, which as of now is 1. So I have a pool of 5 hit points that I can expend to heal either myself or an ally, because paladins are holy healers. Next, I have spell casting. I'll have to make sure I add that to my features and traits. And I believe that it. No, wait, nope. I have weapon mastery too. Yeah, so spell casting and weapon mastery. Like I said, both martial. and a spellcaster. That is Los Paladin. Weapon mastery, I believe I explained yesterday, is just a small boost that martial characters get for their physical weapons to sort of give them an edge in combat that was normally taken up by spellcasters. Because in D&D 2024, they were like, spellcasters are a little too powerful. Let's beef up um, our martial classes. Um, So now that we have our spell casting and that we're basically done building our level 1 character. Oh, I forgot to add the armor class. Chainmail has an AC of 16, but because we're also putting on a shield, it will be an 18. Um, I if I am using a shield, I personally like adding a +2 just to let myself know that hey, my actual AC is a 16, so if I drop my shield, it becomes a 16. That's just a little personal thing I like doing. But let's start selecting our spells. Now, as a paladin, as a level 1 paladin, I have two first level slots, which means I can cast a first level spell 2 times before needing to take that long rest. Also, I can prepare up to two of said spells at a time. So let's choose our spells. So I'm gonna go with what they're suggesting here. So prepared spells of a level 1 plus. So you prepare the list of level 1 spells that are available for you to cast with this feature. To start, choose two level 1 paladin spells. These two are recommended, and I am gonna take that because they are rather decent spells. And let's make sure we don't forget to fill in the casting ability here, which is Charisma. My save DC is 8 plus 2 plus 2, so 12, and my attack bonus is a +4. Let's make sure we save that. I have two spell slots, and I have both of these prepared, so I'll also just add the little check mark there. Um, if you don't really want to go with what the game is recommending you and you want to look at your own spells available to you, which I do recommend, you can just open up the spell list, which will be hyperlinked right there underneath the character's spell casting feature. You can choose any one of these in any order you want. It's whatever you prefer. And then if you really wanted to, you could just once again click on it to get an explanation of what it does. If you don't really know or remember all the things about magic, you can just ask me or straight up Google it, either or. Um, a small thing I like to do though to just sort of make sure I remember my spells is that I like to add the components required. So for example, heroism requires verbal and somatic components. And I like to add if it's concentration based, which it is because of this small little C tag here, and the duration. So that would mean C concentration 1 minute. That's just how I like to shorthand things, but of course you can shorthand things however you want. Next, Searing Smite, which is a bonus action, which I will put here. So it requires a verbal components, and it is a bonus action. I believe that's it. And it also has a duration, BA stands for bonus action, of 1 minute. Okay. Um, When you're filling out cantrips, it's also just as easy as going to the cantrip list and seeing your available cantrips and just selecting which one you want after reading the definition and putting it up here in this little area. Oh, wait, hold on. One thing I also forgot to do as a human is I forgot to choose a, hold on, I believe. because I am a human, I get an extra benefit. See, not even this is such a good tutorial, guys. I'm not fucking this up at all, for real. But let's go to species. Let's click on human to just quickly see what other things I get. So here, there's just like the basic information right here, and special traits. So I get proficiency in an extra skill of my choice, and I can get an extra origin feat. Skills recommended, but you can choose any one of them if you want to go the human routes. But I won't note these down because, once again, I am lazy. But I guess I will choose skillful, and I'll be skillful in deception to just, I guess, give you guys more of an example. Um, what's next? Okay. Um, oh yeah, I also have to choose my language. Now, as a human, I don't get any extra languages, so I just have the language of common. And you can fill in this stuff here, height, weight, age, gender, um, you know, like whatever you want, whatever you need be, whatever gives that character that much more identity for you. Um, and oh yeah, you could also fill in all of these over here. This is just more like character personality stuff that won't be though you'll be covering yourself. That you'll be doing yourself, not me. I can't really make your characters. That's kind of fucking stupid. So, next up, let's actually level up our characters. So, bam, Shuddy is now level 2. Let's start by rolling HP. Now, when you level up, you can either roll to gain HP, in which case it depends on the level that you're taking. So I took another level into Paladin, which means I roll another 1d10 to determine the amount of health that I get, or I can take the average of the 1d10, which is a 6. Um, you also get another hit dice depending on the character that you level up. So because my paladin's level 2, my hit dice are now 2d10. But for example, if I took a level in cleric that has a hit dice of 1d8, my hit dice over here in total, which would be a 1d10 and a 1d8. The same thing is said for your maximum HP. If my if I take a level into Cleric, I don't roll a 1d10 to increase my HP, I roll a 1d8. Now, of course, you don't have to roll to increase your health. You could just take the average, which I am going to do, because which would be a 6. So that would bring my 12 up to an 18. But make sure that you always add your Constitution modifier to level up HP, which would bring myself to a 20. Not bad. Not bad for a paladin. Could be beefier, but this is just an example, dude. I hope you guys don't min-max, or I will kill you personally myself. Um, Now that we've leveled up our health, let's go back to the paladin, um, like paladin class page, and let's choose our, or let's go over our level 2, um, class features. So over here we get fighting style. So you get a fighting style of your choice. Instead of choosing one of these feats, you can choose the option below. Blessed Warrior, which I will do because I like casting spells as Paladin. This is actually just a personal thing. I prefer going Blessed Warrior. But unlike Guidance and Sacred Flame, I do prefer other cantrips. However, um I'm just gonna do this for the sake of simplicity. Now, of course, you don't have to do whatever I'm doing. Hell, of course, I hope none of you guys do exactly what I'm doing, since I'm stripping myself of all personal autonomy here. I'm just doing this for the sake of the bit and the tutorial. So now that we have our fighting style, let's go over Paladin Smite. You always have the Divine Smite spell prepared. You can cast it without expending a spell slot, but you must finish a long rest before you can cast it this way again. So, this is also just another resource. I can cast this once without using a spell slot, so let's make sure I Paladin's Smite. I keep track of that just in case I need that extra little bit of damage I get from Divine Smite in my back pocket. Let's also make sure I have this always prepared too. And I will just quickly, very quickly, see the components and other things I can use to create a quick little shorthand after the title. This bitch is taking so long to load. Holy moly. Holy moly. Guacamole. Alright. Alright, scroll TikTok, guys. Oh, wait, hold on. I got it. It's there. I was checking OBS for no reason. So, we can say it's a bonus action. Um, it has the components of verbal, so we'll just make sure we add that. And it lasts, it's actually instantaneous, so I won't write out bonus action. I'll takes up too much space. Excuse me, I'll just shorthand that to BA. Um, and that is about it. That is a quick little level up for Paladin right there. Oh, one more thing. In order to sort of just separate your like background features and traits from your class and race features and traits, you can just add a small little line. So for example, as a human, I have skilled, versatile, I believe. Yeah, skilled, versatile, and resourceful. So I'll just put that there and just make sure they're all separated and a little more organized. You don't have to do that, but I I'm too lazy to fucking correct that. Um, I'm just going to do that for the sake of the bits. Run out of words. Fucking, I love having a big vocabulary, but now that we have our level 2 paladin, let's once again level up to level 3. Level 3 is where the fun actually starts happening because you can choose your subclass. But first, let's start off by rolling our HP again. Um, I'm of course taking another level into paladin, which is another 3d10 HP increase. The average of 3d10 is a 6. But of course, you're adding your constitution to that, which would make it an 8. Don't ask me why, like, the average for, like, a D10 is a fucking, like, 6 and not a 5. I don't know why D&D decides to do that, but it's extra health for you guys, so I don't know why you'd complain. Make sure we also edit the max HP just in case. And, let's, make sure we add Channel Divinity to our class features. And Um, Channel Divinity is once again a you can use the class of Channel Divinity twice, and you can okay. And it has two uses as I just read, so make sure I have that noted down. And another small thing I forgot to mention is that after your max usages bracket little thing, you can add LR to stand for long rest or SR, which stands for short rest. This is just to let you know that, oh hey, you gained all uses of this ability back on long rest or short rest. However, Channel Divinity for the Paladin is a like unique thing because you get half of the uses back, or you get one use of it back on a short rest and both uses and all uses of it back on a long rest. So you can add a little dash and like put a sentence there, or you can memorize it, either or. Once again, memory comes with experience, so don't worry about it too much if when we're playing we have to look back or take like 2 minutes to sort of reread something. There's really no sweat. That's why we're doing a one shot, and why, you know, the first campaign, if we get there, if you guys want to play it for a campaign, will be very slow. It'll be fun, but it'll be less as intensive. Now, here we go. The fun part. Paladin subclasses. The Oath of Devotion, Glory, Ancients, Noble Genies, and Vengeance. So, this is to just give you even more specialization. like how you want your paladin to become more paladin-y, or how you want your barbarian to become even more barbarian-y. It's all up to you. Me personally, though, I love the Oath of Vengeance because you get just a lot more combat capabilities. So, um, we are just going to read up on these levels here. You can, read up on this stuff, for example, or this. It's just a bunch of lore to like sort of justify, in this case, why you chose to be a Oath of Vengeance paladin. So, as an Oath of Vengeance paladin, we get these two spells to always have paired. Um, so we got Bane and Hunter's Mark. I won't shorthand these for now, just to keep the video moving. And we have the Vow of Enmity. So when you take the attack action, you expand one use of your channel divinity, which is this, class ability, class resource. To utter a vow of enmity against a creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself. You have advantage on attack rolls against the creature for 1 minute or until you use this feature again. The creature drops to 0 hit points before the vow ends. You can transfer the vow to a different creature within 30 feet of yourself. That's a pretty hard ability, as I mentioned yesterday. Having advantage on attack rolls is pretty good because that just increases the chances you have to hit. You can basically roll twice. So we'll also make sure we put that in our class features. And because this is technically a class resource, but it uses channel divinity, I'll just like leave it here or leave it connected and make sure that I remember that if I want to use this, I have to expand the use of this. You can of course make a dash and create like a little reminder here if you want to, but I don't need to because I know I'm so orifully smart like that. But that is it. This is how there's a quick little, I say quick, but I believe I've been recording for like 37 minutes. Yeah, 37 minutes on the dot. This is a little explanation on how to build a character from scratch without having to worry about the bullshittery that comes with pre-builders and stuff like that. I hope this was I probably should have prepared a script and made this way more professional, but like I said, this was for the bits. I'm not doing this seriously. So ask any questions y'all might have. That's it. Okay, bye.